one of my advice that I give to women is don't force fashion. So don't force yourself to fit somewhere that doesn't work. If it doesn't work for you, it's okay. To be able to say no and it's a complete sentence is a beautiful thing. If there's something that you admire, study somebody that's successful and what things did they do to get there, so that then you can pay attention. Do your homework.
Yeah.
You know? So don't force something. If it's not a good fit for you or if it's something you want, there's nothing wrong with trying.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with trying. That you can say, well, I gave it a try. Just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But don't force it if it doesn't work.
I've been watching your movies my entire life, which is an incredible privilege. I did not know what role you were going to have in Is God Is.
You didn't?
I did not. I knew I had seen the trailer. I'd missed the play downtown.
Okay.
You are so incredible in this film.
Thank you.
Because, like, growing up in the 90s, you were always playing these women who had a lot of character and a lot of energy and who there was a certain level of, like, she might get beaten, but she's not going to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, set it off and, like, Why Do Fools Fall in Love and, like, Independence Day, like... These were just so formative to me. And then I think that's so interesting in contrast to what we see in this film. Because
Absolutely.
Ruby's story begins at that place.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about like what drew you to this part and this character?
Absolutely. Is God Is. I play Ruby, a.k.a. God. And to be honest with you, I was contacted directly. My agents hit me and said, the director of this wonderful new film wants to speak with you. Mm-hmm. And I said, go for it. So her and I, Aleshea Harris, I had a Zoom call. And she says, Vivica, I have a new movie that I'm about to do called Is God Is. And first of all, the title just makes you kind of go, what did you say?
Yeah.
Is God Is? And she says, yes. And you are my first and only choice to play God. Right. And so once again, she says, I'm a huge fan of Kill Bill. And the style that I want the film to have a taste of is Quentin Tarantino style of Kill Bill and his film Noir, the way that he makes films. I'm totally inspired by him, and I want this to be a film. We don't normally get films like that.
Sure.
You know, so I can say now with the success of Sinners that people are opening their minds to seeing African Americans in different type of film noir. And so it makes me happy.
Totally.
Because, you know, we can do horror. This film had so much. It had horror, it had drama, it had comedy, you know, it had action. Yeah. It was just a little bit of everything that just comes together so beautifully.
And that's such a good point, because like Tarantino obviously like pulls a lot from blaxploitation and a lot of Pam Grier movies, but that's... Even though people love his movies, they're not necessarily going back to the source material. So it's interesting to hear that like she's inspired by him, and now we get Is God Is.
I know a young African-American director, female director.
And it's her first time.
It's her debut.
Was that at all intimidating to you?
No. Can I tell you, Aleshea was so prepared. She reminded me of Tarantino. She's now in my top 3 of directors that I've worked with in my career. Tarantino, F. Gary Gray, and now Aleshea Harris. She was so prepared, down to the T, down to the dialogue. She really helped me when my character was severely burned to not forget that she was tired, that she was toward the last of her days. So I was really impressed with her preparation for this debut. There was no guessing with her. She knew exactly what she wanted.
So having seen the film, I got to go in. I had seen the trailer. I knew a teeny bit about it, but I was blown away this is the first-time director because the visual language is so strong. Yeah. Like down to like the way the father character is introduced where we don't
see his mouth.
I didn't know until this movie that I can recognize Sterling K. Brown with this much of his face.
Really?
I guess I'd never thought about it.
To me, it was his voice.
True, but I don't think we hear him right away.
Well,
maybe
I
I'm wrong.
guess it was a trailer. You're right.
But, like,
you do see his mouth.
I was because I knew he was in it, and I saw that. I was like, oh my god,
that's Sterling.
So much of your performances are so much about your physicality, and in this, because your character begins the plotline of the movie covered in burns, you are in a bed. Your physicality is deeply restricted. Yes. You're wearing prosthetics all over. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, at least from here up, from what we see. And, like, I'm curious, how did that impact you? How did that affect your process?
Well, I loved it. I'm going to let you know I had a 2:30 a.m. call time.
How long did it take to get
4
all
hours.
the scar
4
makeup
hours.
on?
The scar makeup and the nails and the wig and the whole nine. The whole process was 4 hours. So just so you know, I've never had a 2:30 a.m. call time. So, you know, because usually when you go to set, it's usually 5, 6 o'clock. 'Cause it's usually a 12-hour day. But yeah, it was too. When they hit me with it, I was like, well, I just shouldn't go to sleep. But I did. I just went to sleep.
You're like, I'm
rather
going to
early.
use this?
Yeah.
She said she's tired?
She's tired. But the prosthetic process really helped a lot because, you know, from the hands. But then there was the beauty in it with the nails. And then the way that they braided the hair, and then the bandages that were covering me were all lace and really beautiful. That's why I got on lace for you today.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love these extra details. Like even the structure she has over her face, which I'm assuming is supposed to be like
the mask, the bandages. Yeah. They're trimmed in pearls.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, it's again that thing of when I think of characters you tend to play, they tend to be women who, like Frankie, are going through it.
Yeah.
But they're like, she's
strong.
Yeah.
Yes.
But she's gonna find her joy. She's gonna find her moment, and she's gonna find her beauty. And it's like, it's interesting because it's reflected in the twins too, where they are burned and they are definitely self-conscious about it.
They're strong.
They're strong and they're beautiful. Like, yes, they are scarred, but this film is so gorgeous and dirty and gritty, and like it was just. It reminded me.
I love all those descriptions you just said.
Great.
Because this morning, after we all saw the film, those were descriptions that we were like, could you believe it? It kind of sticks with you.
Yeah. Part of what I found so powerful in the film is like the way you start off in this position.
Right.
You're so visually striking with all of the things that have been built into this, but also your body of work leads behind that, where it's like, we recognize Vivica A. Fox as a fighter. And so to see the character in this position, it's like, even before we get the backstory, there's like a meta layer of something must have gone down.
Yeah.
Is that something that like you are, like, is that persona something you're aware of when you're in the role?
Good question again. Aleshea, I remember saying that she wanted her to be godly like, that when you see her, that it's so striking that it's like, whoa, what happened? But then look at her. And then she's like, you got to have it come through the eyes, the pain, the hurt. You are the catalyst to start this whole revenge
100%.
mission. So have that strength in you, have that pain in you, but then also have the love that you miss time with your daughters.
Yeah.
You know, I loved, there was one time where the daughter played by Cara Young, who's incredible, that I touched her face and you can just see the tenderness, you know?
Yeah.
And that when she told him, she's like, yeah, I know I may be ugly, but come on over here, my girls. So there was strength in the dialogue that you had to find, you know?
Yeah.
And then to just, I guess, I was a victim, but she was trying to fight back. She's like, you know?
Yeah.
This is some last thing I need y'all to do for me.
And so the word ugly is used a lot in the film, and what I think is interesting is it also reflects on, I think when women express anger, it's considered an ugliness. Like, women aren't supposed
Isn't it?
Right.
Especially with black women, you know? Angry black, you know?
Absolutely stigmatized.
Yes.
And part of what I found so stirring in this film is Aleshea makes no apologies for anger.
that. Exactly.
And like,
Oh, that's a very good point, that Aleshea makes no apologies for our anger, because usually we're crucified for it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a sense of, I mean, I think, and I love Set It Off, but I think even in Set It Off, there's a sense of like, it's a gangster drama and all that kind of stuff. There's always a sense, take it back to even the Hays Code, but a sense that like, if we're going to make an American movie about gangsters, somebody has to pay in the end. We have to, like, crime doesn't pay. Like, that has to be like, you know what I mean? Like, but what I love so much about this film was like, without getting into spoilers, I didn't feel that the film is at any point judging these women. I don't think Set It Off judges them, but I feel like the conventions of Hollywood demand a certain
Do you
blood
know why? Because the dots were connected. It wasn't unexplained anger that came out of nowhere.
Right.
Like, I love that Aleshea showed you each woman's journey with this one man,
Right.
the monster. So it made sense that you're like, yeah, get him,
Right?
kick his ass.
I mean, you've done a lot of Lifetime movies. I'm like, yeah, get him. That's what I'm here for.
So that's what I'm saying. Women like to get a little even. There's nothing wrong with it.
100%. And I don't think we're given an outlet enough for that. I think there's so many examples of like anti-hero men who are like, which is, you know, in that case, the woman is usually just like a woman who exists for a moment. She's like, oh no. And then she's
I'm
shot.
the damsel in distress. Come save me,
Oh,
please.
she's so pretty and dead. It's so sad. Yeah.
Not anymore.
Right.
That That's changed.
Like, and this
That's
is just,
changed.
it's so electrifying. Like, I was just so...
Was it rewarding for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was just saying to somebody the other day, like, I get annoyed when I feel like even in like the Mean Girls remake they made, we don't let women be bitches in movies anymore.
Well, that's changing. Devil Wears Prada.
Well, honestly, the sequel, everyone's a little bit softer. But it's just like, and I'm not calling the women in this movie bitches.
They're softer.
Everyone gets a little bit of like, well, but she has kids now. And you're like, okay.
Oh, okay.
But it's
they're
just,
trying to humanize them.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm not saying the women in this movie are bitches, but it's like, I appreciate when the rage...
They were bitches that were bitches because of love.
Yeah.
And being disappointed in love.
Right.
Each one was disappointed by someone they really
and they're taking
loved.
it out on someone else.
Yes, but they want to get revenge.
Right.
And was unapologetic about getting revenge.
And like that's the thing. It's like
except Divine. Divine was still stuck. Wasn't Erica great?
So good.
I love
and that's the
Erica.
thing. It reminded me of what like Why Do Fools Fall in Love?
Yes.
Because like that was another one I rewatched recently. And it's just the three of you are so good in it. But it's
Thank
like
you.
to also get to see how three smart, capable women
Can get caught by one man.
You know what I'm saying?
Happens to the best of us.
Especially when he looks like Sterling K. Brown. What are you gonna
Or
do?
Lorenz Tate.
Like exactly.
Yes.
It's just I get it.
Happens.
You know what? It reminded me of Eve's Bayou, which is like a slept on. Like that movie is just so
It was
beautiful.
incredible. Yes.
And it's also a film about Black sisters and about like trying to understand vengeance and the interesting thing about, do we really want vengeance? Is vengeance justice?
Sure. I'd love a good old revenge clapback.
You know what I mean?
Revenge is a dish best served cold.
Yeah.
Kill Bill.
I also watched a bunch of your true crime show about
Yes.
investigations where you talk about that. I am curious, doing that show as a host where you're talking about these investigations, did that impact you as an actor? Did you watch these things and like try to pick up when people are lying on camera?
Well, the beautiful thing about doing that, hosting that detective show, was that I played a detective in a television show called Missing. So I had that in my, in my library to pull from, because in Missing I was a lead detective. So she was always looking at things and solving crimes or connecting the dots. So kind of like my body of work kind of always serves me in a new role or a new position. And that's why I always tell young actors, make sure you have versatility. Be able to sing, act, dance, kick butt, because you never know what a role may call for or where you can use that in another place.
It also just seems like you're not afraid to try different stuff.
Yeah, versatility has equaled the key to my longevity, to be very honest with
100%.
you. That I can do comedy, I can do drama, I can host, I do it all. Why not? Because then you just never know. It keeps me evolving. It keeps me going into new chapters of my career gracefully.
To that point, because you have had such an incredible and storied career, do you ever find it difficult? Because sometimes when people say like I can do everything, it's like people want a label to apply so that they can pin that and be like, well, we're looking for this.
Yes.
Is that a struggle you've ever faced?
Well, just being good looking, to be very honest with you.
Sure.
I mean, not to toot my own horn, but
That's facts. Yeah.
But that's what I learned being in the track, because I used to model back in the day. That's literally how I started. I was discovered on Sunset Boulevard by a gentleman by the name of Trevor Walton after I had visited my modeling agency in Los Angeles. So I kind of got a little bit of a Lana Turner story going on there, discovered on Sunset.
Yeah.
And so Trevor got me an agent, and I got my first job like 3 months later, and I've been working now for over 3 decades. But yes, good looking can be to your benefit and to your detriment, because they want to say, because for the longest time, that's all I played was the good looking girl.
Right.
But then I was like, okay, we need to go in a different direction here, because I don't want to just be the good looking girl. So then I got set it off. Yeah. And that's where I got my street cred at. Everybody was like, oh, I didn't know Vivica could be a little ghetto. Hey, pretty girl got a little hood in her.
Right.
Yeah. So, I found that doing different things, and then Kill Bill, and that got to everybody's like, oh, and she can kick butt too. Then that led to Missing. So they've all led to different chapters of my career. I don't know if I did that strategically or it just kind of unfolded that way.
Sure.
But now I'm very conscious of it, though.
Well, I think I will say as someone who's also an entertainment reporter, like I think we like to create a narrative as if actors have a ton of choice and they are like artfully because it makes for a good story.
Yes,
but the more
it
I
does.
talk to actors, the more they're like, man, sometimes it's just a job. Like
Yes.
sometimes you're just taking what it is.
Well, at this point in my career, I can be very honest with you. I'm very blessed that I now executive produce my own films.
Yeah.
Lifetime literally turned me into a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that. I have a franchise called The Wrong franchise where I've done up to 50 films with them. Guess what? I get to pick what role. I'm usually always the hero, but at least I can play
funny thing.
the cop, the teacher, the mom. I can play different roles that
Yeah.
Hollywood wouldn't normally give me, especially being a woman. I'm now in my 60s. That in that time of building that resume with Lifetime, that I was in my 50s. And normally Hollywood, back in the day, let's keep it real, they put you out to pasture
100%.
after you turn 40, like you can't still get it and you ain't still got it. Okay?
Yeah.
And we've changed that.
Yeah.
You are seeing your baby boomers of today that are now directing, producing, and that is, I believe, because women are in more power positions.
Yeah, and I think I think you're a very good example of that because like, and you know, I know you have a memoir about this, you have a podcast that you did about hustling and about the idea of like creating your own opportunities.
Absolutely.
And like, I think The Wrong series is a really good point to that because as you said, I mean, even Meryl Streep has said that like she turned 40 and she got witches roles for like a solid year.
And now look at her now.
You know what I mean?
She's the devil that wears Prada.
Like,
okay?
There's this idea, especially, I think, you know, with women, and I'm sure it's even more complicated with Black women, where they're like a box that they want to put you in.
Of course they do.
And at a certain point, we as women are told, like, well,
Yeah,
but there's a 20-year-old
exactly.
over here.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, well, you know, and especially nowadays, it's all about clicks and how many followers do you have?
yes.
You know, we went through that phase of business as well. And you know what? This is me. I ain't no hater. I'm a congratulator.
Yeah.
So me and my team, we figure out how we can then fit in that genre. We do more social media. We get relationships with companies that want people that have things that fit the brand. That it's not forced. So you just, you know, I try to go with the flow. I do my best to pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, because the business is evolving so fast nowadays.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Now it's
100%.
verticals are about to happen. I'm about to do one of those when I get back. So you just pay attention to the business. Don't let the business leave you.